Okay, so creating consistent content alone does not automatically lead to sales. And what I see is that people always kind of equate being consistent to, getting results. And usually those results are that they're thinking is going to happen as like money or leads when it comes to marketing. But I want you to stop seeing consistency as automatically leading to sales or requiring you to post content every single day or even every single week. By the way, my name is Latesha. I simplify how service providers manage their marketing and teach them marketing content that drives sales, leads, and opportunities across all online platforms. Make sure you subscribe to my channel for all things adaptable and multi-channel marketing, content strategy, and lead generation. Okay, so let's talk about how typically we assume that if we're consistent, it's going to lead to sales and leads for our business, but that's not always the case. So in this episode, I'm going to talk to you about two things that you need to really have that will allow you to have both consistency on your own terms, not how it looks for someone else, and still make sure that that content that you're putting out is leading to sales. So the first thing that I want to make sure we have clear is that consistency does not mean frequency. And consistency gets to be controlled by you. So first of all, I think what happens is there's a belief right now in the online space that when someone says be consistent, it means show up X number of times a week or X number of times, even a day in some cases. And that's just simply not true. This kind of thought process where consistency tends to mean being very active or doing very high energy marketing activities is what has caused so many people to feel very burnt out or even just frustrated with the fact that all that work really isn't, leading to the sales and it isn't worth the time and effort. Not all marketing platforms or channels even require the same frequency of content for you to just stay relevant, which is what really matters, especially as a service provider. Even the ones that you assume you need to be more frequent on or actually have mechanisms built into them that allow you to not really have to be. And they have mechanisms like highlights, playlists, featured lists, pinned posts, and links so that you don't always have to be showing up all the damn time to stay relevant. What I see is that most service providers kind of see consistency from the lens of someone else's schedule. So when you see consistency, what you're thinking is so-and-so competitor or so-and-so, creator or so-and-so service provider shows up and I see them every single day. My clients tell me that all the time. They're like, oh, you're always on, I always see your content or you're always on or you're always posting. I'm like, no, I give the illusion that I'm always posting. But you're actually in control of what consistency needs to look like for your own business. What you need to know, all you need to worry about when it comes to showing up in the content that you do put out is, where can people expect to see you? That's what they care about. Where can they expect to see you and how often can they expect to see you? When you set those expectations for your audience, they're going to keep showing up and watching your content. It's just going to be on your terms, right? At your pace. These are choices and decisions that are really dictated by you when it comes to consistency. So the second thing that I want to make sure I get off my chest here before I tell you what it really takes to have your level of consistency that works for you and to get the results that you want, which are the sales and leads, is that consistency does not always automatically mean that you're going to get sales because you showed up consistently. Just because you're posting every single day does not mean that you're going to make sales because of that effort. And the good thing is, you have some influence on how much sales you can make from the work that you're putting into your content. That part is, you're influencing that. But really, the sales are controlled by your customer, controlled by the people watching your content. And so while the perception that I see is that the more you show up and post content, the more money you make. But honestly, that's not really a fair assumption or connection in the grand scheme of what actually works and what really doesn't, because posting more content might give the perception of success, but that success always looks like something stupid, right? It's like, oh, the person gets really high views, or they have a lot of people like to show how much engagement, how many people saw their content. Like, oh, my content was shown to 180,000. Did you make money from that? More comments. None of that stuff equates just automatically to sales. Those things don't mean more cart checkouts and more applications for those people, but you're assuming that because the illusion is this is successful because it got 1 million views, or this is successful. But think about all of those influencers who can't even make money from the big audiences. They'll have 100,000 followers and not making any money. None of that just automatically equates to sales for your business. The reality is consistency does often lead to attention and awareness. It can build trust. If people see you all the time or you're always around, they're going to obviously have some level of trust that they feel for you. And it shows that you have presence, but it also does lead to what I said earlier, more burnout, more exhaustion, and often more disappointment when the time spent isn't worth the results that you're actually getting from all that content. And consistently posting content that isn't working won't suddenly make you money anyway. So right now, before I tell you what is really required to get you both the level of consistency that's going to work for you and the number of sales and leads so that that consistency is worth the time, that effort in the content is worth the time, I want to ask you, what does consistency look like for you when it comes to content? Is it daily posting? Is it weekly posting? Is it monthly posting? Or do you feel like it depends on where the content is? I'm really curious about your answer. Would you mind dropping that in the comments for me? Just tell me what consistency looks like for you when it comes to content. Is it daily posting, weekly posting, monthly, or just depends on where you're posting? While you're doing that, I'm going to finish this up by kind of telling you what I see is the key to both consistency and the sales from that effort. And remember, consistency is something that's controlled by you. Strategy needs to be influenced by the buyer, influenced by the follower, influenced by your audience, which then leads to sales, which gets to be influenced by you and controlled by them. I'm sharing the control and the influence because I need you to know your part, right? You aren't chasing volumes of people as a service provider with your content. So when you follow these silly little strategies that are meant for volume, remember those strategies are not designed to attract quality people. It's just designed to attract people. So what immediately comes to mind for me on a platform like Instagram is like those 6-second reels where the person isn't talking. There's barely any text on the screen and it says, check the caption. Like, that type of content and why people want you to have videos that loop, all of those types of strategies, they're really just tactics. They're not even strategies. They're tactics to help you get really high visibility and high volume of, people going to the caption, right? But when you think about that in the grand scheme of things, when you're really not saying anything in a piece of content, you're not going to attract quality people, but you are going to get a bunch of people. It's just the name of the game. You, however, specifically as a service provider, actually do need to attract quality leads and clients for your services. So that means your content actually needs to speak to what people need to hear in order to make a buying decision to invest. They're investing in your 2K, 3K, 5K, 10K, 20K program service. You want quality people coming to that. So when you only focus on strategic content, which is what matters, you actually get the luxury of not even having to show up very often with more content because what you do put out, whenever it gets out, will bring you leads and sales. So your level of consistency gets to be determined by you, and it also really is determined by the platform. For example, if you have a YouTube channel, you don't need a new YouTube video every single day. You really don't need one every single week. You can do one every other week. Same with the podcast, same with the blog. You got to think about the platforms that you're on, and that gets to dictate or at least influence the consistency, the number, the frequency that you show up. But I don't want you to keep putting pressure on yourself to think that in order to be considered consistent, you have to be someone that shows up every single day. It's not true, and it's not true on any marketing platform. If you need help deciding where to show up and what to strategically say when you do put content out there so that it converts into sales leads and opportunities, then I have two options for you. You can do this on your own with with something that I have called Marketing Momentum Blueprint, that you will be able to not only choose where you show up, but also it will help you to walk away knowing exactly what you need to say in your content to close the sale. That's going to be linked in the description below. But if you decide that not only do I not know, I don't want to do this on my own, I don't want to be trusted to have to do this on my own, I need help with that, then I have something called the Content Clarity Scan, also linked in the description below, where I can do that for you. See you next time.